We're talking about the Plunder Patrol deck that found its way sailing the seven seas of Top Cut. We have a Rikka Sun Avalon deck, we have Sky Striker, and yes, some more of your other Top Cut finishing decks. I'll make 30% of you that not smash the ever-living crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys, of course, don't miss out more of these delicious little contents. So we're going to be looking at the Plunder Patrol list out of this weekend's YCS. And the first immediate thing that catches me off guard is, hi, Iron Dragon Tiamaton, how in the world are you doing? Remember, this thing has to be special summon if there are 3 or more cards in the same column. A quick effect, special summon this card from your hand, and then if this card is special summon, destroys all other cards in this card's column. Technically, if your opponent sets up in the EDM, the Monster Zone, and you have a back row, well, congratulations, you kind of get some free value off of this. I found seeing this as a tech choice in this deck really caught me off guard. Now, the other thing that I saw down here that really caught my attention was Ancient Fairy Dragon down here, rotating through the multitude of fields. Obviously, you know, Shipyard, and we are playing the Forest of Lost Flowers out here as well. I also found this kind of interesting. And then, I mean, the main, or just like immediate field spell value, it's kind of interesting. Also, to be fair, the rest of this deck, we're actually playing the basic package for making the token. Of course, like, things start to get really, really interesting when you're playing Plunder Patrol, when you have this set up and then Faithful Adventure and you're like literally protecting your monsters. But one other big thing here is, like, opponents don't understand like how to handle the matchup, you know, especially the lice interactions and the additional heavy negates. You're gonna have issues. Also, 45 cards is a pretty big standard for this deck. All real things considered, though, it is amazing to see that Plunder Patrol was able to, you know, kind of keep up with the metagame right now. And another big thing is, you know, the diversity really did get the chance to shine. So good stuff. Next up here, we have Sky Striker. People are like, oh my gosh, you know, engage and multi-roll are so broken. I mean, what's broken is this right here. This is going to be the reason why you see Sky Striker actually doing anything right now, because thrusting into an engage, thrusting into whatever of the multitude of option trees that this deck has going for it is absolutely amazing. All right, I think so many people underestimate how good Talents is, or Thrust here is, because they're always like, oh my gosh, you know, engage is so unfair. No. This is the problem for making this deck relevant. Now, little interesting tech choices here. We are on double afterburners, which I'm glad to see this is kind of returned back to a norm. Only 2 multi-roll. Honestly, 3 multi-roll does not feel that good right now. I understand why people would look at it and go, well, you know, like, you can extend out with. No. You're creating one more dead draw in your deck. It's not 2019 anymore. You don't have all the free chicken nuggies in the world here. You still have to kind of go second and cross your fingers. Now, there's this. We talked about Always showing up in Rikka Sun Avalon quite some time ago, but now Sky Striker is attempting to do the same thing that they were doing, which was, oh boy, I end on a Shizuku. Oh boy, what do I do? You know, a generic power down isn't exactly the best thing here. They're using Aoi to take a look at the opponent's hand and take away, you know, combo pieces from them. We no longer have a pointer of the Red Lotus, so now we've had to go back to, you know, this card. You know, we're so far back at the hand rip options here that I feel like this is okay at this point in time. It's also why you're seeing Trap Trick here also, so you can, you know, set Aoi, set Dimensional Bear, or access the Destructive Daruma Cannon, so you can literally clean up everything that you need to. Good stuff. Next up is Rikka Sun Avalon. This is the first thing that I love about this deck. We're actually playing Polynosis. When a monsters will be normal or special summon, or a spell or trap card is activated, tribute 1 plant monster, negate the summon or activation, and if you do, destroy that card. This right here is one of the reasons why you see Rikka Sun Avalon. They don't always play this, but I think a majority of the time when you do see this card running around in the meta, it is hilariously good. Now, for the rest of what this deck kind of tends to do, You kind of decide how many of the brick you want to play. I do classify this guy as the brick. There were a few people out here that were like, well, you know, you can cut back on the seed and then play triple unexpected die. Yeah, my favorite part is when the unexpected die gets ash, and I'm just sitting there going, wow, you know, had I actually been able to dedicate a hard normal summon to this, you know, I would have been able to effectively play the game. So that's one big thing to really consider out here is how good a value do you actually get with the Sunseed Loki, and make sure you can go ahead and extend. Of course, we are playing double Boreas with the Regulus with the one field. So I feel like at this point in time that the Thurion package is a pretty normal inclusion into this deck. I know there were a few people like, you know, we don't really need to include this 4-card package. No, you probably should, all right? This does, in fact, set up a negate, which is pretty good. And then, of course, I see that we are playing the Spider Orchard down here as well. I think most modern era builds have been dedicating to the Spider Orchard, so that's pretty good. And outside of that, I mean, the rest of this deck's purpose is you're going to try to cover your bases, set up a big board. The only thing I don't like about this deck is it feels like its grind game kind of fades away. Obviously you go through your extra deck like a madman. Like this entire thing will be burned through for most of your stepping stones for combo. So that's one big thing you got to really consider is how good are the utility assets. Next up here, Runic for Hire. Now for those of you that have not been paying too much attention to things out here, the For Hire package has turned into a massive generation engine for this deck because this deck wants to filter through and get as much advantage as you can down here. And then obviously Donner being able to rotate on into, you know, the setting up Fogo here. It's actually disgusting to me how much value that you can actually get with this. So one of the biggest things in the current format right now is, hey, Runic for Hire is a very, very strong deck. And I actually think that this package has been winning over the Evil Twins strictly because people want more advantage. Obviously, the Evil Twin package can give you interruptions through, you know, the Evil Twins coming back plus the mini draw power, but the overall raw advantage that you get off of, you know, this inclusion of the package in the deck is actually nuts. I also see that we are siding Epsilon down here as well. And do keep in mind that we're not even playing the Gamma. We're just rolling the Epsilon on out here as a trap negator, and then it's like, okay, well, I go ahead and I get 2 free monsters on the field. Like, it's kind of free real estate. Other interesting little things here is we're only playing 1 starter, which is kind of interesting. And we are also citing the Smashers down here as well. And then, of course, citing the additional Jet. This is a pretty common practice with this deck, where you cite in the Jet to go search for the Smashers as the additional as need be. Outside of that, I mean, the rest of this deck's side deck is trying to patch up current metagame problems. Deck should be able to functionally do that, and honestly, you're not going to have much of an issue doing that. Outside of that, I'm glad to see Azalea getting some play down here. Last but not least is Dragon Link, and the first thing I see down here that makes me really happy is somebody's playing Chaos Emperor, the Dragon of Armageddon, again. Holy moly. This is the card that I enjoy seeing the most out here for Dragon Link. Like, it really puts a smile on my face. I also see that we are kind of forced. You are kind of forced now to play Dark Ruler no more. You have to rely on those board breakers to be able to set up. And then, of course, you know, Book of Moons to spot removal the Arise Heart and get it face down so you don't have to actually worry about that. Outside of that, a lot of people are like, well, you know, how's Dragon Link dodging all these Kashtira matchups? You see any of these 9 cards right here, your Kashtira matchup isn't unwinnable. You know, as long as you can handle the immediate problems that have, you know, shown up, that's fine. And then, of course, you know, you have the best card down here in the whole wide world. I will say one big thing about this YCS is we didn't have to worry about Blowout Central actually occurring for this event, which is kind of nice. But outside of that, Dragon Link has been, I feel like it's very standardized at the moment. 46 cards is extremely normal at this point in time. And as more and more players kind of start to see this, you know, hey, you know, we've kind of got this figured out. You just kind of adjust your ratios and have an idea what you're doing. Excellent. That's what you want to see. That is my wrap up for the YCS here. And I will say, all things considered, everything is it looks good. I think the event was overall a success. So please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.